Welcome to 20 Questions. With us today is Herb Kanan, the Jerusalem Post diplomatic correspondent. What are the chances of a formation of a unity government in Israel? Do you think that Kadima will join?
If Kadima hasn't joined the government up until now, I kind of find it tough, just politically speaking, to see him join the government now, because you have to remember we're now at just about the midpoint in Netanyahu's term. If Kadima joins the government, it'll take a couple months. Everybody realizes that the elections are going to be held within the next 2 years. So does Tzipi Livni want to get into the government now at this time and kind of identify herself with the Netanyahu government, knowing that elections are pretty much around the corner? At a certain point in time, she's going to have to get out of the government and distinguish herself from Netanyahu. If she stayed away so long, I don't think it makes a lot of political sense for her to get in now. That's just dealing with the question politically. If you look at it, what's good for the country, right? I think I think Netanyahu would argue, or there are those who would argue that if Israel could present to the world a united stand on the key issues, it would help them get over the hump in September.
What should Israel do in response to the upcoming flotilla, and what do you think the fallout will be?
Look, I think the flotilla places us in an extremely difficult bind because to a certain extent we lose either way, right? If we stop the boats on high seas and if there, God forbid, is a repetition of what happened last year, obviously it's not good for Israel. If Israel says, okay, you know, it's not worth it, we're going to let these ships into Gaza, that's bad for Israel because again, you have to have the right to control your borders. I think Israel's preparing a little differently this time. I think there's been a lot more emphasis on the diplomatic track. I mean, you do have some heavy hitters who've come out and asked the Turks to get involved, asked the Greeks and the Cypriots not to allow their ports to be used. You know, Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, came out. British Prime Minister. Many countries have travel advisories warning their citizens against doing this. The hope is that maybe some of this is going to filter through to the Turks, and at the last minute they may step back from the brink, thinking that they don't have anything to gain from it. How it's going to play out, honestly, I don't know. I think it's clear that Israel isn't going to allow anything go into Gaza that wants to get into Gaza. But how they're going to stop them, I couldn't tell you because I don't know.
This was a short clip. The full interview can be seen underneath the Premium Zone's 20 Questions.